I never imagined my greatest nightmare would come wrapped in HOA letterhead. But a few weeks ago, the president of my neighborhood's homeowners association crossed a line no one should ever cross. She didn't just write me another violation or fine me for weeds in the yard. She broke into my home in the dead of night while my 10-year-old son slept just down the hall. Her excuse? She called it a midnight compliance sweep. But I know the truth. The only thing being tested that night wasn't compliance. It was the defenses I had built to keep my son safe. Let me take you back. The night was silent. Not the normal kind of quiet, but that heavy, suffocating stillness that comes only after midnight when the world finally surrenders. My son, Jake, had already drifted off. 10 years old, stubborn and brave. He'd fallen asleep in his camp t-shirt, sneakers still by the door. I sat in my battered leather chair in the living room. My laptop glowed on the ottoman in front of me, but my eyes weren't on it. They hadn't been for a while. Ever since Sarah, my wife, was gone, this house had felt like a hollow shell, too quiet, too empty. She used to breathe life into every corner with her humming, her laughter, even the simple sound of flipping through a book. Without her, the silence became something I had to watch, to guard against. At 2:14 a.m., my wrist buzzed. Not a loud beep, just a subtle vibration from the custom watch linked to the private network I'd built myself. Code LNDW1. Laundry room window. Breach detected. This wasn't a glitch. I knew because every night at 10 p.m. sharp, I ran diagnostics. My system didn't lie. I shut the laptop silently and stood. My heart rate stayed steady. That was part of the design. No alarms, no shrieking sirens. Adrenaline gets you sloppy. Calm gets you through. Barefoot on cool hardwood, I moved with precision. I wasn't always like this. I used to be an IT guy who thought a lock on the front door was enough. But grief and harassment are powerful teachers. And the cops had taught me the rest, mostly by reminding me over and over that it's a civil matter, sir. Translation: you're on your own. Sarah would have hated the fortress I'd turned our home into. Reinforced doors, ugly pin locks on every window, steel shutters hidden in the walls. She loved morning light and open air. But she wasn't here to deal with the endless notices or the way our neighbors stared or the woman who made it her mission to break us. Karen Blackman, retired cop, HOA president, and self-appointed ruler of our cul-de-sac. She never liked me, a widower with a son, a garden left untidy, a basketball hoop an inch too close to the sidewalk. To her, rules weren't guidelines. They were weapons, and she wielded them with surgical cruelty. And now she was inside my house. I passed Jake's door, my palm brushing the wood gently. He was asleep, but soon I'd have to wake him with our signal. That was always the worst part, stealing his innocence, forcing him to live in drills and plans instead of carefree dreams. The red glow from the hidden panel confirmed the breach. I picked up the tablet from the hall table, and the screen flickered on with the camera feed from the laundry room. She was there, crawling through the window on her belly, flashlight tucked under one arm, moving slow and deliberate. She thought she was being careful. She thought she was the hunter. But she had already walked into a cage. And I was the one holding the key. I whispered for the recording. This is David Mercer. Breach confirmed. 2:14 a.m. laundry window. Suspect, Karen Blackman. Then I slid on nitrile gloves. I didn't want my fingerprints mixing with hers. Through the tablet, I watched her ease inside. White blouse, dark jeans, flashlight beam cutting the shadows. She wasn't here to inspect paint chips. She carried heavy-duty zip ties in her pocket. That told me everything I needed to know. She thought we were helpless, a single dad and his boy. But she was wrong. I moved silently, wedges under doors to prevent creaks, avoiding the mapped-out floorboards that groaned under weight. This house knew me. It moved with me. I tapped Jake's door twice, steady and soft. Our signal. From the other side came a faint thump, Jake hitting the wall once before locking his deadbolt and slipping into the reinforced closet. Good boy. 10 years old, and he had a better emergency plan than most adults. Part of me was proud. Most of me hated that he needed it. Karen was inside now, moving with that smug confidence of someone who thought the law was always on her side. She tested the mudroom door. Locked. No surprise there. She pulled out a leather case, and my stomach tightened when I saw what was inside. A lockpick set. This wasn't an accident. This was calculated. On the feed, I saw the tumblers click into place, one after another, until the kitchen door gave way with a soft snick. She smiled, that little satisfied grin of a bully who finally got her way. And then, calm as anything, I spoke into the dark. That's far enough, Karen. She froze. The flashlight beam jerked wildly, cutting across cabinets, walls, and finally pinning me where I stood at the end of the hall. "Who's there?" she barked, her voice still trying to carry authority, but the edge of panic was there. "It's David," I said steady. "You're in my house, and you have no right to be here." She tried to recover, lifting her chin. "There was a report of a water leak. I'm conducting an emergency inspection. As HOA president, I have the right of entry." A laugh almost escaped me. Lockpicks and zip ties for a water leak at 2 in the morning? Even for her, it was absurd. "You don't have that right," I said evenly. "But I do have you on camera. Every second of this." Her jaw tightened. "Step aside, David. You're obstructing official business." "No, you're committing burglary." For the first time, a flicker of real fear crossed her face. Her eyes darted to the corners of the ceiling, realizing the lenses she couldn't see were everywhere. And that was her mistake. Because in that moment, I pressed the red square on my tablet. A deep hum vibrated through the walls as the shutters engaged. One by one, every window and glass door sealed shut with heavy steel. The house went from ordinary suburban home to fortified vault in seconds. Thump, thump, thump. Karen spun in place, her flashlight beam bouncing wildly off steel plates where windows used to be. The house had swallowed her whole. "What did you do?" she shouted, voice cracking. Before I could answer, a hiss filled the room. From the vents, a thick white fog began to pour, blanketing the kitchen and living room. Harmless, but blinding. Her flashlight turned into a useless glowing cloud. She coughed, stumbled backward, grabbed for the same doorknob she'd picked moments before. But the second her hand closed around it, I smiled. That knob, like the laundry latch, was coated in invisible ultraviolet dye. Evidence that would cling to her skin, her clothes. Evidence no lawyer could explain away. She was marked, and she knew it. I stepped forward, calm, my tablet camera capturing everything. "This ends tonight, Karen," I said. Her voice wavered. You can't prove anything. The board will back me up. The police. The police are already on their way," I interrupted, showing her the blinking feed. "Silent alarm triggered the moment you broke the seal. They'll find you here in my house, covered in dye that matches my window and my doorknob. On tape, with zip ties in your pocket." Her bravado cracked. For the first time since I'd known her, Karen Blackman looked small. And then, as if on cue, red and blue lights began flashing faintly through the slits in the shutters. Sirens grew louder, closer. She turned toward me, eyes wide. "David, please. We can work this out." "No," I said quietly. "You've terrorized my family for 2 years. You broke into the wrong house." The pounding on the door shook the fog-filled room. "Police, open up." I tapped the release command. The steel shutter on the front door retracted with a heavy thud. Officers stormed inside, their beams cutting through the haze. And there she was, caught red-handed. Zip ties still clutched in her fingers, dye glowing bright under their UV light. The ex-cop, the HOA tyrant, the predator who thought she was untouchable. They cuffed her right there in my kitchen. Jake stayed locked in his safe closet until I gave him the all-clear. When I opened his door, he looked at me with wide eyes, and I could finally say the words I'd been waiting 2 years to mean. It's over. We're safe. That night, my fortress held. My son slept in his own bed again the next night without fear. And the HOA president who thought she could bully us into submission was led away in handcuffs. Sometimes people like to say rules keep a community safe. But rules don't mean anything when they're twisted into weapons. Safety doesn't come from titles or authority. It comes from being ready when no one else is coming. And when she walked into my house that night, she learned the hard way. I was ready.